Okay, we are back. I assume that these people they don't like my face. My face actually scares them. Each time I come online, have you seen what happened right now? I came in immediately when I came in, they freezed everything and automatically the broadcast disappeared or stopped rather. So if you are joining us wherever you are joining us from, share this video. I know you might have shared the previous video, but wherever you are joining us from, share this one, invite others to join. You know, the most important thing you need to know, the reason for always trying to stop the initial broadcast or initial link, first link to the broadcast, it is because they know that once they stop the first link of the broadcast, people now will now turn people's attention to some other stuff. That is exactly the reason why they kept on doing that. If you notice, most of the time when we come online, every other thing will be okay, and within a short period of time they will shut down the first link so that it will now direct your attention to some other stuff. So that is the reason why they will always do it. It is a strategic way or means to distract you from being exposed to the knowledge of enlightenment. So it is up to you now to kick back in this shenanigans of this social platforms that we are using or their manipulations. It is now in your hands to make sure that you kick back at all of them by making sure you come back to the program, because of course you are aware that whenever they kick us out, we will find our way back into the program to make sure that we continue to preach this gospel. We have a very important topic. We have a very, very important topic and a sensitive topic that we need to talk about. And this today, we are going to be actually bringing them out in generals, because I have seen that this issue of, these issues are the things that are actually affecting our people. Just like that this my topic or my the description of my topic is actually on the interconnectedness between religion freedom, human rights, and freedom fighting. This topic will address how the fight for religious freedom is critical to the to achieving overall human right and freedom, and how this can be seen through the recent DSS report about the detainment of individuals based on their religious beliefs. So this topic can also explore how the fight for religions or religious freedom and human rights often goes hand in hand, and the importance of recognizing and addressing these interconnected issues. So very, very important. I want you to understand that what we are here to talk about this afternoon, morning, and evening is very, very crucial and important towards what we are doing. Let us actually try to nullify the systematic means possible that this colonialist created, that each time we come in freedom fighting, we will be carried away, we will be actually be swept away by these topics and this argument. So it is important that we engage in this type of topics in order to know our stance and in order to protect people and their own beliefs, and does not actually hinder us from building a nation that is actually monocultural society. and we will not be prejudiced against any other person's belief or any other person's religious affiliation. So that is the reason why I am bringing this topic this afternoon. Of course, today, it is Sabbath day, and the Sabbath day we need to bring the knowledge of enlightenment to our people. I don't come online on Saturdays, but boom, there we go. I am here today in order to talk about these topics, because it has become a very, very crucial topic that we need to talk about. Share the video if you are joining us on Twitter. Retweet the video if you are joining us on Facebook at Judge Money Blog Platforms Official or /TV. You share the video, like the video. Don't forget to click the like button. It enables the algorithm to share the video. But if you are forgetting to click the like button, the algorithm will not remember also to do the sharing. So wherever you are watching from, we are live and direct. Of course, the time in Biafra land, which is today is the 1st April, which is April Fool, according to the philosophies of those who introduced the calendar. So it is 1st of April 2023. The time now stands 6 minutes on top of the hour, regardless of where you are in Biafra land, where there is 0 latitude, where there is 0 longitude. The time now starts at 6 minutes past 2 in the land of Elohim. So, great and wonderful people of Biafra, lovers of freedom all over the world, I want to bring it to you, and I want to actually introduce you to it. Very, very important, very, very crucial topic that has been making our struggle look chaotic, or making our understanding look immature. So that is the reason why we are going to be touching on this program, so that in an event of where you see people talking about their religious affiliation, or in an event where people are actually educating people in order to understand the manipulations through religion or through their own philosophies and understanding, it does not nullify the fact that people are actually free to their religious affiliation. It does not nullify it, but the most important thing that we are here to talk about is for you to understand those your religious affiliation, what it could mean towards the struggle for freedom and self-determination, and what how it will actually affect the freedom and the mind emancipation. So that is the reason why we decided to pick on this topic. I don't know, of course, it is difficult for us to find a way to make sure that this program is aired across the platforms. But if you share the video, we will get there, because when we get more audience, it triggers the mind to actually bring it raw. And we are also going to be talking about something. There are some pieces I come across, interview from Sahara Reporter, and we are going to touch on those interviews by Sahara reporters asking about the sit-at-home issued in Lagos, and as well as the other things. People are still actually talking about the Iwanyanwo's statement, media statement, and they interpret it in the way that it will actually suit their own understanding, or the way it will suit their cause. So that is actually part of the things we are going to actually be analyzing this morning, afternoon, and evening, depending on where you are going to be watching from. And today I am going to be speaking the universal languages that everyone anywhere around the world is going to understand. It is actually a basic English which everyone can understand. If it is actually too grammatical, or I am going to bring it down to the layman's understanding or layman's intelligence, so that we will be able to follow up in this teaching. And I invite you all over the world, especially our people in Africa I invite you to this topic. It is very, very important and crucial one. So let's go there. First of all, so many of you are aware of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's detention, and the detention is now has been illegal. If we understand how Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was brought back to Nigeria, it is an act of terrorism acted or meted upon him according to the universal right and treaty that governs extradition process or procedure. So now those areas of terrorism activities or terrorist activities was actually meted on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, is not being talked about again today. Do you know why? Because according to Nigeria, they cannot be held accountable for every, anything that they do that is illegal or improper. And I will tell you also the reason why they cannot be held to account on their illegal activities and moves against life and the human rights of their people. So I am going to tell you why. Now let's think about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu being extraordinary rendition from Kenya to Nigeria. It is against the international treaty of extradition process because he was kidnapped off the book, and the rendition of the book, which is a crime against the soil in Kenya. And I believe that the Kenya government is supposed to intervene and come to the bottom of it, because when we become a nation, we are also going to try to understand how these things work in Kenya. So but it is not going to be in a violent way, but it is going to be in a very, very diplomatic approach, while we are trying on forming relationships with our African counterparts, because it is something that we have been lacking. We need to start actually from home, because there is a saying that says that charity begins from home. So I believe it is time for us to start engaging our African countries, the counterparts, our the African leaders and African countries who believe in self-determination. It's time that we start engaging them, so that before we will extend it to other bigger nations, the people that is closer to home will understand our cause and understand what we are fighting for. Because if we are not engaging them, people around or this government will make them to have the sense that we are actually rebellious against the constitution of Nigeria, or we are rebellious against the government of Nigeria, but which is opposite is the case. We are not rebellious against anybody, but we are in self-determination. We believe in self-determination. We are fighting to restore our dignity in this planet Earth. And of course, we know that the way Nigeria is set up today, it is not the way a nation should be set up, because every nation in this world that is a free nation, they actually promote their own initiatives, and they make sure that everything works to for the sake of the people who dwells or part of that countries. So that is exactly what we need to start doing. We need to start engaging those African leaders, taking this message and the gospel to them, making them to understand, including the Pan-African movement, because in this type of things, they will always try to shift the narrative and try to make sure that you are to be blamed for believing in self-determination. So now let me try to bring more people into this program before we continue, because I can see that it is that bad. It is seriously that bad. The way Facebook and even YouTube, the way they are suppressing us, they are doing all they can to make sure they suppress us. So, as we have actually, discussed on that, we supposed to start connecting with our African counterparts, telling them about our issues, making sure that they are well informed about this self-determination. It is very, very important and necessary. So now we want to now bring to you this human right violation on Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, the consequences and what you're supposed to do as an individual that is affected by the illegal detention of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. Whatever we are going to bring to you, it is the manifesto, or it is actually, should I call it, it is actually universal declaration on human rights, and part of it is actually part of universal declaration of human rights, and we are also going to explain the job of the DSS. The job of DSS, which is it is when you call DSS, it is like acronym. It is acronym that stand for Department of State Service in Nigeria. So when you talk about this Department of State Service in Nigeria, it is it is actually federal owned security. It is like NSA. It is National Security Advisor to the federal government. National Security Advice to the federal government. It is actually seen in every nation. But what are the job of these National Security Advisors to the federal government? Is their job to go out there to kidnap people and place them in solitary confinement, or is their job to actually arrest people or investigate, and if they make an arrest, they send those people straight to the law enforcement, which is a police. They send those people to police, and police will do the court proceedings and all that. If they wish to come to court to give their own testimony, they can. But now the way the DSS is set up, it is working, outside their jurisdiction. It is undermining their, the job of police and every other security services that sees to the national affairs, because basically DSS are, created to be, to actually see to the federal affairs. And they are supposed to be the intelligence of the country. So now let us now try to tell you this. Let me bring it to you what exactly they're supposed to be doing. These agencies is responsible for providing intelligence, to be providing intelligence and security services to the federal government of Nigeria, as well as protecting top government officials and safeguarding the nation's critical infrastructure. The DSS also carries out investigations of criminal activities that threaten national security and work in conjunction with other security agencies to maintain peace and order throughout the country. Now, when he says that they're supposed to work with other security agencies, it means that DSS is like a federal, a federal security that is not supposed to, put their nose in the affairs or in the jurisdiction of police, where police is supposed to be the one intervening in a particular situation. DSS is not supposed to be there. The Department of State Service in Nigeria is a federal agency that is owned and operated by the Nigeria government. It is not privately owned or owned by individual organization, the agencies falls under the supervision of the National Security Advisor, who is responsible for coordinating national security policies and strategies on behalf of the Nigeria government. The reason why we are reading it is for you to know the job of the DSS. It's important to note that the separation of power is okay, no. Let me stop there. That is actually the job of the DSS. It is actually part of in their manifesto, what they stand for, what they do. That is what I actually read for you. So, when you talk about the activities of Nigeria government and the undermining of the judiciary to release Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, when you look at the way Nigeria undermines judiciary, or the way Nigeria does not see judiciary as independent arms of government, that no one challenge their decision in particular events. Now, I want you to know and understand that it is important to note that the separation of power is an important principle in the most democratic legal system, and it serves as a mechanism for preventing abuses of power. The president typically has limited power over judiciary, as it is an independent branch of government meant to uphold the law impartially. The president's role is typically limited to appointing judges and making nominations for vacant seats in the court. But the judiciary branch is meant to operate free from executive influence or interference. In the United States, for example, the president can nominate Supreme Court justice, but the Senate must provide their advice and consent on the nominations. Ultimately, each branch of government is intended to serve as a check and balance on the others to maintain a fair and effective legal system. Now, is this the job that you have seen? Is this how Nigeria is actually carrying out this relationship between executive and the judiciary? I don't think it is the way they are carrying it out, because if it is true that they went through Malami, who is the Minister of Justice or Attorney General of Federation, it is true that they went through this man in order to nullify or to oppose the court decision on the release of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. Now, let us actually look into it. Let us actually look into it, how they use their power, or they abuse their power, because it is actually seen as abuse of power. Because let me now bring to you what a president can do when it concerns the judicial decision. When the judiciary make a pronouncement or make their decision according to the constitution of the country, the president can go to this, what they can do. Now we will now define it, whether what they can do or what they have done in the case of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is against the constitution of Nigeria or not. Now, it is important to note that in most democratic legal system, the president cannot overrule the order of the court directly. The court decisions are final, and the president must abide by them like everyone else. However, the president does have some power to influence the judiciary indirectly. Are you now understanding it? They have the power to influence the judiciary indirectly. Now, the reason why it is said indirectly, it is because the president does not have right to influence judiciary negatively or because of the selfish aggrandizement of those in the executive. Now we are going to come to the consequences and what you should do or you could do as an individual who is affected by it. Now let us go there. For example, the president can nominate judges and justices who share their political beliefs and values, which is now nominate them through a nepotism, procedure or favoritism. They will nominate them through nepotism. Those who are affiliated to their type of political system or type of governance that they produce. Now, let us now come back to it. Now, the president can also choose what cases the federal government will and will not support in court, which can indirectly impact certain legal outcomes. Nonetheless, the power of the judiciary to interpret and apply the law through the court's decision remains separate from the president's power as an executive in most democratic systems. Now, this is the reason why I always bring up democracy dispensation whenever I am addressing the activities of Nigeria government against Mazen Nnamdi Kanu or the overruling of the court decision which freed Mazen Nnamdi Kanu from all these charges labeled against him by the Nigeria executives. Now, let us now find out if there is any consequences when a president manipulates the justice system or the judiciary with their influence or nominating and removing or removal of judges in order to work for the favor of this president and their people in their presidency. It is important to note that shaping the court approach by the president is a lawful exercise of executive power. Shaping the court's approach by the president is a lawful exercise of executive power as long as it is done within the confines of the law and the constitution of the country. Now, have you seen now how the activities of this current government in Nigeria is indicted through their manifesto as as per defining the power that is discharged by legislature, by executive, and by the judiciary. Have you seen now that the latest activities against Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, overruling of the court decision, indict the president in the universal law of human rights? Now, listen to it very well, because we read the Universal Declaration on Human Rights previously, and now we are coming now to actually explain it to you and bring it to the understanding of a layman. Now, the president has the authority to nominate judges and justices who share their political beliefs and values. But those nominees must be confirmed by the Senate. Are you paying attention? Now, during the removal of those judges who actually undertook the case of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, who gave the verdict on the case of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu in the Court of Appeal, in the higher court of appeal. So, those judges were removed, or those judges were now removed from their jurisdiction as per that time. They were removed from that jurisdiction in order to install just in order to actually activate this power of president or presidency or power of the executive manipulating the judicial process, because they have the authority to manipulate the judicial process. Now, but they say that for them to manipulate the judicial process, they can nominate a judge and justices, but those nominees must be confirmed by the Senate. Before those judges were removed and replaced by other judges in the Court of Appeal of Nigeria in order to apply for the stay of execution, does the Senate know about it? Nigerian senators or the Nigeria, which is legislature, did they confirm that move by the president and the attorney general? The answer is no, which nullifies those judges that was placed there to stay the execution. Now I want to continue to educate you on that so that we will understand where we are heading to. I am going to bring all the explanation back to you. Now it says again, the president can also propose legislation that the legislation that would have an impact on the court, although the legislative branch ultimately has the power to enact or reject those proposals. Are you paying attention? The legislatures, which is the Senate, they have the power to accept or to reject such proposal by the president, which president did not go through this legislation before he appoint judge that actually granted them the stay of execution, which makes the granting of that stay of execution null and void, because it was not done according to the Constitution of Nigeria or even the Universal Declaration of Human Rights through a democratic process or dispensation. Now you will understand that the stay of execution against Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is null and void, but they are holding him because they have the military power. They are holding him because they undermine the decisions of the legislature. They undermine the decisions of judiciary, because if they recognize the job of the legislature, there is no way they will remove those judges without the legislature coming to the table for the approval of the legislatures, which are the senators. They must come in, because Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is political prisoner. That is the reason why the senators must come in to make this decision, even to any other person, whether you are a political prisoner or not. But because Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is a political prisoner of conscience, that is the reason why they move swiftly to undermine the law and the role of the legislature and the role of nomination of judges and justices in the judiciary. That is the reason why they went swiftly. President and Attorney General enacted this law that favors their wish, their selfish benefits. That is the reason why they enacted the law without the involvement of the legislature, without going through the constitution or process of the constitution, where which they are supposed to actually do their nominations and do their sent off. Now, I want us to understand more to it. Let us bring more to it. The president's influence over judiciary must operate within the bounds of the democratic legal system and the principles of checks and balances. Have you now seen where is the checks and balances in the move that Buhari made in the stay of execution of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, where there is no check and balances, which nullifies Mazen Nnamdi Kanu says of of execution. Now let us proceed. In most democratic legal system, because this is actually I did where I obtained this information. It is I did what is called just one moment. I did a consultation. That is the reason why I was able to obtain this information. So now I actually decided to bring it to a note so that when I come to talk about it, because I will not be able to bring all these things in one umbrella. So that is the reason why I documented them, and I am actually bringing it out right now. So in the most democratic legal system, and I want you to when we are actually outlining them, you will understand the type of democratic legal system that you have, or the type of democratic government that you have in Nigeria, and what they are doing that is illegal. In most democratic legal system, the court's decision and orders are meant to be final and binding. The president cannot overrule these for their own personal interest or gain. Are you paying attention? For their own personal interest or gain. That is the reason why they must go through a legislature. They must go through legislature. Now, if a president attempts to do so, because I made sure that I also got information in a situation that we find ourselves, what is obtainable by the people. So let's listen to what is obtainable by the people, or by IPOB, so that we will know how we are going to go about our demands towards this release of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu and the injustices on IPOB and Biafra in general. So there is an adage that says that where a person that has a parent is getting advice from their parents, the person that does not have, they will as well try to adopt such advices in order to move on with their lives. So that is the reason why we are making this. It is a broader teaching to all those who are believing in self-determination, and all those who are going through the same process Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is going through, the same process that Robert Sebukwe went through. But I am going to now differentiate the type of how the apartheid government were able to do their own, and justifiably according to their move. But because Nigeria and their executives, they don't care about the rule of law. They don't care about law, or declaration of law internationally. Yet they are affiliated to American Act that protects human rights. They are signatory to Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and they, according to the interview granted by the imposter in Ashorak, he said that anybody who want to practice democracy must go through the same route as America, that they are actually believers of American democracy. Now I am quoting for you American democracy that you say that you are practicing. I am quoting it to you. So now the judiciary is a vital component of any democratic legal system, because it is impartially upholds the law, because it impartially upholds the law and serves as the check on executive power. If a president were to overrule court decision for their own personal gain, it could be seen as erosion of the rule of law. erosion of the rule of law, a threat to the separation of powers, and potentially unconstitutional. It is not potentially unconstitutional. In our own case scenario, it is not seen as potentially unconstitutional. It is seen as unconstitutional because that law or whatever that the stay of execution was not done through a legal means. It was done through a manipulative means. That is the reason why the judges that preside over this case were removed and replaced immediately without bringing the legislatures in order to determine that faith. They did it off the book. Now, let us continue to look for what we can do. The international law and consequences that governs these things that the president did, that your president led by APC did against IPOB and Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. The international law and consequences are, listen, international law and treaties are typically made by international organizations such as the United Nations. Now, have you seen the reason why we've been calling on United Nations to intervene in this situation? And we have seen that they are not doing what they're supposed to do. Do you know? Because of what they said here. Listen to what they said here. Now continue. Regional organizations like the European Union or ASEAN, or through agreement made between countries, the enforcement of these international laws can be more challenging since there is often no centralized body to enforce them. Okay? Instead, countries can choose to recognize and abide by these international laws and disputes over their interpretation or application, over their interpretation can be, over their interpretation or application can be resolved through diplomatic means. In some cases, international courts may also be established to hear cases related to international law and enforce their decisions. Are you paying attention? Now, this is where it says it does not have, anybody that enforces this law as they actually brought up. That is their declaration. What they say, that is the reason why some countries decide on what to accept or what to practice within that law or not. Now, they also said that there is international criminal court that can see to these challenges. Now, there goes what is going on with regards to Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's case. Number one, this also brings a question to it. This question that it brings is asking those lawyers, those international lawyers who are coming to look for jurisdiction in Nigeria to fight a Ejiofor, such as Bruce Finn, asking them, ever since they've been talking, bragging, they are taking the issue of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu to the International Criminal Court, or the activities of the Nigeria government against IPOB to ICC. What happened? Does that mean that you people are actually speaking to Biafrans as if Biafrans are stupid, bunch of stupid people who cannot reason, who cannot ask questions, who just accept everything that is brought to them? Because according to Bruce Fein, He has been saying that he will take this case to the ICC, to the Israel human rights, whatever he talked about there. But at the end of the day, we are not seeing anything being done about it. Does it mean that ICC has been so busy since 2021 when you promised that this case is going there? Or does it mean that ICC are selective in the type of cases, or they select the cases according to the countries? Or does it mean that ICC, International Criminal Court, does not recognize the cases against human rights violation, or the cases on human rights violation in second and third world countries? Because it was in 2021 that you promised that you are going to take this case to ICC. At the end of the day, you did not give us a response as per the outcome. But I have seen cases which started 12 months ago, or less than 12 months ago. Cases which started even 3 months ago. The verdict has been issued by the ICC, because when the Russian president repatriated children from Ukraine to Russia, they called it a war crime, and they issued a verdict. The repatriation did not just come. It is not up to a year. For me to be politically correct, it might be 3 months ago, it might be 1 month ago, but how come that case is finalized and verdict is issued to the extent of warrant of arrest is actually issued by the ICC? That means there is a conflict of interest here. That means there is somebody who is not telling us the truth. Because if ICC can be swift in order to tackle a case of repatriation of children, not even killing of children, to this extent, so quickly, that means there is something wrong somewhere. We are undermined in the International Criminal Court, or we are undermined by those who took it upon themselves to set up those litigation against Nigeria government and their activities. Maybe we are undermined by those people. They believe they come to the social media and make noise. After making noise, they will not bring the outcome of their promises. Now let us continue. So I have sent the message. It is up to you to ask those parties that are involved, where is the outcome of this case that you took to ICC? Or is it part of what they use to make us to stay in the dark without us actually doing what we're supposed to do as people who have the right to live and right to self-determination? Because we are actually trying to expose ourselves towards this right that we have or we can discharge in order to demand our right from this government, in order for us to execute what needs to be done to actually to pressurize this government to do the right thing. Now there are many things that is said to be obtainable in this regard. Now let us continue. In some cases, International Criminal Court may also be established to hear cases related to international law and enforce their decisions. Ultimately, the strength and effectiveness of international law depend on the willingness of countries to recognize and abide by their obligations under this agreement. Now, are you paying attention? The willingness of Did I hear the strength and the effectiveness of the international law depends on the willingness of the countries to recognize and abide by their obligations under this agreement. Now you will now understand why is it so. So this is how it is. But they are pressurizing South Africa to arrest Putin when he touched base with South African Ground Zero because of the warrant of arrest that has been issued. They are trying to compel South Africa and setting up a consequences that might follow, or actually thinking of consequences that might follow in case if South Africa fail to, adhere to this proposal. Now, have you now seen that South Africa has the right to say no? They cannot go through that route. They cannot do the bidding of ICC for them by welcoming the Russian president to South Africa without being prejudiced by any country, because it says that the strength and the effectiveness of the international law depends on the willingness of the country to recognize and abide by their obligations under this agreement. Now, have you seen it? So now when they believe that this law is actually enforceable to some countries, they should also understand what is written in their manifesto, that it is, since it is selective in order to enforce this law, or it is selective in order to hear people's problem, or according to where or their economic size or weight. Now that is actually being partial in their activities, which bring it that the question that says, is International Criminal Court doing what it is actually set up for? Is International Criminal Court actually being truthful to their cause? Or are they doing selective justice or outrage? Now I want you, let us continue. If they choose, it says international law can be more challenging since there is often no centralized body to enforce them. Now it says again, countries can choose to recognize and abide by this international law and dispute over their interpretation or application. These international laws and dispute over their interpretation or application can be resolved through diplomatic means. In some cases, which is these laws has been set already by United Nations. And United Nations make sure that they see that this law upholds, and they actually, how will they make sure that this law is actually favors everybody, including a common man on the ground, not only the people they select for this law to favor. Now let me show you how it works. It means that the United Nations are supposed to be reminding every individual nations whenever they are going contrary to this manifestation of this law, or to the manifesto of this law and treaties. The international body, which is the United Nations, they're supposed to tell Nigeria, continue to advocate for Nigeria to release Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. Because I am going to bring analogy towards their response, the analogy of their response to particular case study, and how they are responding to the challenges of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. Let us now understand whether this United Nations is doing what benefit people that they are set up for. Because United Nations is basically set up for people who cannot speak for themselves, for United Nations to speak for them. Especially people whom their life is in grave danger for the sake of political power tussles or democratic undermining of democracy set up in a particular nation. Now, let us find out. In some cases, it says, okay, let me leave that area. Let me go to how does citizen react when a president is toppling the judicial process. Now that's where I'm going. How are you supposed to react when the president is toppling the judicial process? Now I want you to know that these are your rights. When the president is actually interfering and trying to manipulate the judicial process, that is what you're supposed to do as an individual who is affected by their activities. Before we go to the main topic that we have to talk about today, how does citizens react when a president is undermining their right and judicial process? Most democratic legal system, the court has the authority to judge cases and the president cannot prevent them from doing so. If a president attempts to interfere with the court authority, citizens can speak out against such actions through peaceful and lawful means. Through peaceful and lawful means, which you have the right to protest. Are you now paying attention? As long as your protest, it is coming through peaceful and lawful means, you have the right to protest. Now take us to the protest that happened in Aba yesterday, which the law enforcement descended on our people and started shooting at them. This is actually motivated by that incident that took place yesterday. That is the reason why I decided to bring out this piece. Now you will understand that the activities of the police against the individual can boil down for the individual to defend themselves against this law enforcement, as long as the peaceful started, the protest started peacefully, but the law enforcement decided to topple the peacefulness of this protest in order to bring anarchy. So in that regard, when the law enforcement decided to now move swiftly in order to topple the peaceful conduct of you exercising your human rights activities, it now boiled down to anarchy, which the law enforcement does not have right to do so. They do not have right to shoot a live ammunition on the peaceful protester or even rubber bullet on the peaceful protester, because protest is your right as an individual who does not like the activities of the current government, because power belongs and given by the people. Power belongs to the people. Power is given by the people. So it is the reason why you have to go through a democratic process, through voting system, in order to determine whom you are hiring to be your leader. Now, in a situation whereby you hired somebody to be your leader, they are actually discharging you of every right. They are actually nullifying every right that you possess as an individual in a democratic dispensation or in a democratic government. When they decide to violate such right, that is where people or citizens must come in to defend themselves, because even the government does not hold the monopoly to violence. That is the reason why whenever our people protest, this police, they will start shooting at them. And it is improper when police is shooting at you for you to say, because it is a police shooting at you during your peaceful conduct, it is improper for you to be there or just act like no, I cannot defend myself from this because they are wearing uniform, they are police. When police is stepping their boundaries. They need to be called to order, depending on the situation on that particular time. So if the police come through into a protest and start shooting at you, you can equally defend yourself if you have some weapon that can challenge the type of weapon that the police possess. You can defend yourself. That is the true definition of this declaration. How does citizens react when the government is undermining their right? Most democratic legal system, the court has the authority to judge cases, and the president cannot prevent them from doing so. If a president attempts to interfere with the court authority, citizens can speak out against such action through a peaceful and lawful means. So when you are peaceful and lawful, actually demonstrating your grievances towards the decision that was made by the government, which you elected into the office, the same government now come down to shoot you while you are being peaceful and lawful. That is when you activate the law that governs self-defense. Are you paying attention? That is exactly when you activate your right to self-defense. Because you cannot allow them to come and shoot you when you are demonstrating against the law or what they have implemented that affects you as an individual. You need to now defend yourself in every means possible, because Constitution of Nigeria grants you a right to life. Are you paying attention? Constitution of Nigeria grants you a right to life. No one has a right to take your life. Constitution of Nigeria gives you that right to life. So if anybody is using a weapon that is capable of taking your life, immediately you can equally, if you have access to such weapon, you can use it against them, which makes it a self-defense. As long as you started lawfully. Have you now seen how this bringing security to our land to protect our people was lawful? Have you now seen what made Eastern Security Network a lawful security that people, organize and put together to defend them from terrorist activities, from the monopoly and the stepping boundaries of the government? That is supposed to be, the job of any security that you will set up. When you see there is a lot of violations, killings by the state, these killings, when you actually see that these killings are unlawful, these killings are motivated by the selfishness of a particular political system, that government or political system is calling for anarchy. Is calling for anarchy. Because when you pick up arms to defend yourself against those who are supposed to be defending you, who are the police, law enforcement, but rather they now start making sure that they topple on your right to live. They now make sure that they will take away your right to life. If you defend yourself from such act, regardless of whom is the actor, it is not a crime. It is not a crime, because no one holds the right to take a life except if the constitution of such nation has death sentence or death penalty in place. And before that will be actually taken into law, the perpetrators or the potential suspect must undergo a judicial process which will determine, after all the investigation are conducted, which will determine whether this person is going to be prosecuted through the law of death sentence. But before then, no one have the right to take your life. If your president comes to you in the middle of the night with a gun to shoot you, without you actually posing any threat to him, even if you pose any threat to your president, as long as you have not taken a firearm or any weapon that is capable of harming this president, I am bringing it to this step for you to understand the boundaries that the president cannot cross. He pick up an arm, come to your house, try to put it through your brain. If you have an arm, or if you are armed as well, you need to defend yourself against such president, because he does not have right to take your life. It is your right to life. So that is why you need to understand that this incident that took place, let me bring the video. Let me bring this video for the world to understand that what we are doing, it is actually because of that everything that we are talking about, it is not promoted by, or it is not promoted by hate speech. It is not promoted, it is not actually because we hate people or because we want to push a narrative that is going to make the government and their decision ungovernable. It is not. We are not actually doing it for our own selfish aggrandizement or benefit. We are doing it because we want to protect our lives and livelihood. Now I want to show the world the protest that took place in Nigeria. Yesterday, the 31st of March 2023. This protest took place in Nigeria, and as a result, while people are demonstrating peacefully, the police walk up to them, block them off, and they are not actually taking this protest to, to obstruct any activities. You can see the movement of the people. The people were protesting. People were moving freely. So there was no obstruction during this protest. But the government decided that they have to stop this process at all cost. That is the reason why the government went through this route. Just one moment. So now pay attention to this video and see where these people did wrong, that they deserve to be shot at. Listen.
Today is 31st March 2023. Biafrans in Abia State come out today to protest against the illegal detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. They are asking federal government to obey court order and release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu unconditionally. As you can see, Biafran, both men, women, children are here protesting, demanding for this simple thing, that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should be released unconditionally. This is Humanright reporting to you live in Abia State. Today is 31st March 20.
I want you to watch this protest very well. I want you to pay attention to the activities of the people, doing this protest. I want you to pay very good attention to the activities of the people conducting themselves, how people conducted themselves during this protest. They were not obstructive, they were not destructive, they were marching in the middle of the road, making sure that they exercise their right to a peaceful protest or peaceful gathering. That is the reason why you saw police, because the reason why they will always intimidate IPOB, because they know that IPOB expose every activities of these people that is illegal against the people. So that is the reason why these people are protesting for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and for the world not to see that people are actually calling for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, or to see that the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the demand of the people, the demand of the majority in Nigeria. Now, they want to shut down the peaceful protest, and they want to send a message to people not to come out to conduct a peaceful outing against the injustices on our people. That's why they were shooting at them to discourage others. And they killed few people there. They killed many people there. But let us actually go to this protest so that let me find out when the shooting started.
Want to make sure Biafrans in Abia State come out today to protest against the illegal detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. They are asking federal government to obey court order and release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu unconditionally. As you can see, Biafran, both men, women, children are here protesting, demanding for this simple thing, that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should be released unconditionally. This is Humanright reporting to you live in Abia State. This is happening live in Abia State. the street protesting, demanding that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should be released unconditionally. Today is 31st March.
I think I did not get the right video. Let me get the right video. I will play it through the phone where they started shooting at them. Let me bring you the right video when they started being shot at. Just one moment. So 1 minute, let me bring to you. No, I think I didn't I did not actually cut out that part very well. So let me try to bring it in. Because I found it. I was trying to get this from. Okay. Let me. Yes, I found the video. Let me bring it to your screen. Let's try to bring it to your screen. I am going to bring it to that path only where they started shooting, so that I don't bring the, because there is a voice behind it. Yeah, it is actually downloading. I want to show the world how Nigeria disrespects human rights activities, how they undermine the human rights activities. That is what I am going to show the world. There are many videos of this protest, so I did not actually choose the right one for this program. So I am bringing it back. I am going to bring it back for you to understand it. It is actually downloading and will be made available immediately after this download. Now, okay, it is done. So let me bring it in. All right, I cannot bring it through WhatsApp. Let me bring it in through memory stick. One moment. Don't go anywhere. So Because when we present our own issues, we will come with evidence. We present evidence so that the people will not we will present the evidence. All right. So this one must be removed. Let me bring the new one, the main video that we're looking for. Yeah, just one moment. What the hell? Is it this one?